I am finished of always beating up myself and never forgiving myself of stuff God already forgave me of. I am finished of trying to convince myself that I'm crazy because people don't think at the same level that I think. It ain't nothing wrong with me, it's something wrong with them. And as a consequence, I'm finished with trying to defend myself and explain myself. You heard me, I said what I said and I meant it and I'm standing by it. You ain't gotta believe it, but God showed it to me, so I'm finished. John 19 verse 30. If you don't have a Bible, would you share with somebody close by? If neither of you have one, we've provided the word on your closest screen. John 19, verse 30. Once you found it, won't you declare, I have it? If you can't find it, say, Lord, help me. We want to welcome all the visitors that are here today. Thank you so much. John 19, verse 30. Come on, let's read it together with uplifted voices. When he had received the drink, Jesus said, it is finished. With that, he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. Let's read it again with a little bit more vim, vigor, and vitality. Come on, everybody. When he had received the drink, Jesus said, it is finished. With that, he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. I want to preach for a little while on this Resurrection Sunday, using as a subject, don't leave before my movie is over. Would you look at the person beside you and tell them, let me give you some advice. Whatever you do, don't leave before my movie is over. Don't leave before my movie is over. Going against Catholic doctrine, thousands of people in Miami have found themselves in premature purgatory for the last 5 years. The cause of death seems to be due to bad decision. It was game 6 of the NBA Finals. And the Miami Heat were down by 3 against the San Antonio Spurs with just 2 minutes left on the clock. Not to mention the Spurs are now on the free throw line. The Miami fans have a reputation across the league for failure to being faithful. And all at once, they begin to leave the stands in throngs, believing that the game was over. The undercurrent excuse was that they were trying to beat the traffic. Once outside, thousands of them began to hear cheers in the arena. And by utilizing technology, they discovered that the game was now tied. News cameras picked up the footage of the fans trying to race back in to see a historic turnaround and a monumental win. Their dreams were thwarted by authorities and security who met them at the door, reminding them of the organization's no re-entry policy. They were reduced to watching one of LeBron James's greatest games on their phones, even though they had a ticket. This is a classic example of what happens when people leave too soon. Most of us in this room have never played a professional sport, but a lot of us have extensive stats of people who used to be in your stands cheering for you as long as they believed you were on top. But when it looked like you were going down, they abandoned you. You need in this moment to hang a sign on the front door of your heart that says no re-entry. Once you leave me, stay out. Please don't think I'm going to let you back in because you see me winning again. You should have stayed with me when I was down if you really had the faith of resurrection power. My dear friends, in full transparency, I'm grateful that the rules that apply to professional sport arenas don't hold true for movie theaters. As you know, I've been preaching for the last month a series on the gospel of Wakanda, emanating principles and points and highlights and symbolisms, truths and metaphors that I nestled out of the film Black Panther. I was convinced that I was familiar with every nuance, every overture, every sign, every symbol, that I had detected everything that the director, the producer, and the actors were trying to get across. Until very recently, I was in fact engaged in a dialogue, a critique as it were, with somebody talking about the film, and they asked me, "What did you think about King T'Challa's address to the UN and the shot he covertly took at Donald Trump?" I looked at him in bewilderment on my face, and like Arnold from What's Happening, I had to ask from different strokes, "Mr. Drummond, what you talking about?" He said when he clearly, watch this, changed his mind about offering assistance to immigrants who were in need. For the life of me, I had no recollection what he was talking about in the film. He probed further inquisitively, trying to make me remember when it is that T'Challa said the country of Wakanda will be a part of the global community, and as of this day will help people in need no matter where they are from. I looked at him. We must not have seen the same movie. He said, "Man, you gotta remember. You remember when it is in his address to the UN that he said, 'Wise men build bridges, but foolish men build barriers.'" I said, "No, that wasn't in Black Panther." He said, "Yes, it was." I said, "When was it? I done seen the movie 3 times. I don't know what you talking about." He said, "It's at the end of the film when they run the credits." With embarrassment, I had to confess I had already left, thinking I had seen it all. That after going multiple times, I thought I knew everything. So when the credits started running, I started leaving. I want to say to somebody who's sitting in this sacred space called sanctuary, please don't leave God because you think you've seen it all. Please don't leave your connection with the church just because you think you've experienced it all. I want to tell you that before this month is over, God's going to show you something about him that you didn't even know existed prior. I don't know where you are. I don't know your level of faith. I don't know how long you've walked with him. But those of you who are excited about learning another aspect of God that you have never seen before, would you give God praise in anticipation for what you don't even know yet? We've assembled on this day, mindful of the atrocities afflicted on our Christ. The events are harrowing and probably not suitable for the viewing of children. The man who used saliva to restore a man's sight is now spat on. The man who taught us to turn the other cheek had hairs pulled out of his chin, leaving his face disfigured and unrecognizable. The one who covered us from the wages of sin had his robe gambled for. The one who fed 5,000 was giving nothing to eat for a week. The one who defended the woman caught in adultery had nobody to defend him. The one who built the earth using his mouth alone had rusted nails thrust into his wrist and his ankles with a javelin rippling through his sides. The one who picked 12 disciples to mentor preached to 5,000, only had 3 standing with him in the darkest moment of his life. The one who made the sun stand still so Joshua could get victory now had to see that same sun turn its back on him while he's in agony. My dear friends, and through all of this, as we lean into the cross, we've heard him speak 5 times, but now a 6th time, he's able to muster just a little bit of strength and declares, "It is finished." They started whispering the stuff church people say. You know what they said after he said, "It is finished." Church people started saying church stuff. Here's what they started saying: "He's in a better place now. At least he's not suffering. I'm just glad he's not in pain." They heard "it is finished." Started going to his mama's house for the repast. People started bringing over fried chicken and macaroni and cheese, and you know somebody from the church brought a pound cake. People in the backyard smoking Newports, remembering what it was like to go to high school with Jesus. There were people in the front yard that was pouring one out for the homemade. There were people who were upstairs laying across the bed in the guest room, and they trying to figure out how we related. But whatever it is that you do, please don't walk out on the movie too quickly. I know it looks bad. I know it looks hard. I know it looks rough. But it ain't over for you. Watch this. Even when you said you were finished. And I don't know who this is for, but I feel like I'm talking to a small remnant in this room who have had to, in fact, apply to yourself mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Nobody would breathe into you, and like David, you had to encourage yourself. What is amazing is that you were the central character of the movie. You were the star, and because you're on stage, you can see people leave. And you've watched it. There you are bleeding. And you help people. And nobody offers you a Band-Aid. They just start leaving. Everybody with you, long as you treating. When times get tight, they act like it's an inconvenience to help you. You watch them leave. Can I go a step further? He had to watch his own daddy not show up in the moment that he needed his father the most. Both his physical and spiritual father walk out. He had to watch him leave. And there's somebody here, I don't even want to jar the inner resources of your own memory in fear that it might provoke you into tears. Because you got to remember, it wasn't one person that left you. It's been a whole cast of characters that have walked out on you. People who you thought you'd be with forever. People that had your last name. People who you gave your last. People, watch this, who weren't even deserving of your time. People who it is that you had to fool yourself that they weren't lying to your face. and you watched them leave. And you said, maybe for them and maybe for yourself, it's finished. It's finished. It's finished. And people who don't know you well thought you were quitting. People who really don't get you thought you were defeated. People who don't vibe with you on that level counted you out prematurely. It's finished. It's finished. And the problem with your haters is your haters have a hearing problem. Pastor, why you say that? Because when Jesus is on that cross, he said, it's finished. He didn't say, I'm finished. And every now and again, you got to lay down the law. I'm finished with you trying to play me. I'm finished with you taking me for granted. I'm finished of always having to be the bigger person. I am finished of going without only so you can eat in my face. I am finished with it. Or maybe I'm talking to myself. I don't mean I'm resigned. I don't mean I'm defeated. I am finished with this overarching feeling of depression. I don't know who I'm talking to. I am finished of always beating up myself and never forgiving myself of stuff God already forgave me of. I am finished of trying to convince myself that I'm crazy because people don't think at the same level that I think. It ain't nothing wrong with me. It's something wrong with them. And as a consequence, I'm finished with trying to defend myself and explain myself. You heard me. I said what I said and I meant it and I'm standing by it. You ain't gotta believe it, but God showed it to me, so I'm finished. I'm finished with eating and I ain't hungry. I'm finished of internet pornography because I'm lonely. I'm finished with online shopping because I'm dissatisfied. I'm finished with dating beneath my weight class. I'm finished with being phony with plastic people. He said, it's finished, but watch this. The scene now changes. The scene now changes. The music is about to shift. The villain is about to be destroyed. The bill is about to be paid. The case is about to be thrown out. The lien is about to be lifted. The relationship is going to be reconciled. Do me a favor, get some popcorn. And when you get some popcorn, please tell them put butter in the middle, put a little bit on top. You're going to be here for a while. And I don't want you to miss one scene of what God is getting ready to do in my life, because the best is getting ready to happen for me. I know you thought it was the end, but my story is not a horror. It's a thriller, baby. You're going to be on the edge of your seat trying to figure out, how did God bless somebody as defeated as me? Stay tuned for what God's getting ready to do. Y'all got to forgive me. I'm an 80s baby, and Saturday nights was the best night of television if you grew up in the 80s. God help me. If you grew up in the 80s, you already knew how that 9 o'clock Miami Vice was coming on. Y'all ain't saying nothing to me. Right after Miami Vice, you know Love Boat is coming on. You stay up past the news if you can. And Eddie Murphy's on Saturday Night Live. I know y'all don't remember that. But my mama had a rule, because we had 8 o'clock service every Sunday morning. As soon as Miami Vice is over, Jamal, you got to go to bed. And I don't want no trouble, because I don't want you waking your father up. He got to preach in the morning. As soon as Miami Vice is over, turn the television off and go to bed. I said, Mama, I got it. I I got it. I got it. So I'm watching Miami Vice downstairs. Watch this, y'all. And at the end of the episode, y'all ain't gonna believe it, the Cuban drug lords had figured out that Philip Michael Thomas is an undercover police officer, and they got him in the airport hanging. They got him tied up in a chair. And one of them got a gun to his head. And I'm like, Lord, they getting ready to kill Philip Michael Thomas. Don Johnson is on the boat trying to get to where Philip Michael Thomas is. And I run upstairs, Mama, come quick! She said, boy, I told you, your father got a preacher in the morning. As soon as Miami Vice is over, turn off the television and go to bed. I said, I'm trying to, Mama, but it's 10:53. It's 10:53 and it's getting ready to go off. And y'all that grew up in the 80s, you understand the love connection. We gone in 2 minutes and 2 seconds. So by the time they come back, it's 10:56. And when they come back at 10:56, Philip Michael Thomas is still in the chair, still tied up, still got a gun to his head. Watch this. I'm scared because I'm thinking they getting ready to kill Philip Michael Thomas because they got a gun to his head. Mama, come quick. They getting ready to kill Philip Michael Thomas. He said, boy, you better be quiet. You getting ready to wake up your daddy. He got to preach in the morning. My mother comes creeping downstairs to sit right next to me so that we can watch the end of Miami Vice together. They got a gun to Philip Michael's head, and the Cuban drug lords are getting ready to wipe him out. By now, it's 10:57. It's 10:57. Philip Michael Thomas is getting ready to get killed. Don Johnson is on a speedboat trying to get to where he is. I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm holding my mama's hand saying, Mama, they getting ready to kill Philip Michael Thomas. It's now 10:58 and the music by Michael Mann is now coming on, and I'm trying to figure out what is getting ready to happen. And the producer did something that was so mean, so evil, so demonic. Can I tell you what the producer of Miami Vice said? He put on the screen, to be continued. Here it is. I'm thinking that it's the end of the story, but I had no idea. I just needed to wait one more week before the rescue was getting ready to come. And for 500 of y'all that don't mind shouting, the enemy may have you tied up. There may be some stuff over your head, but I need you to know help is on the way. Give 3 people a high five and tell them my story is to be continued. Jesus, friends, he's a drama major. Jesus is a drama major, and he makes up in his mind, I can't finish this horror story without appropriately rolling the credits. He said, I done everything that God told me to do, and I'm getting ready to get out of here because I've been on this cross for 3 hours, and I declared it is finished. But before folk think that the movie is over, can I tell you, the movie is not over until you run the credits. Some of you all, God help me in here, you don't even understand. You haven't seen the full picture of what God's got for you because you ain't thanked him and given him credit. So I know y'all got to get out of here. Most of y'all were late anyway, but let me roll the credits real quick. For best director, all things work together for good to those that love him and are called according to his purpose. For best producer, for it is he that has made us and not we ourselves. Every good and every perfect gift comes from him. For best actor, for he who knew no sin took on the sin of the whole world. For the best stunt man, he was wounded for my transgression, bruised for my iniquity. By his stripes we shall be healed. For best lighting, he said, let there be light. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the light, and no man comes to the Father but by me. For ground transportation, some came through the fire and some came through the flood, but all of us made it through his blood. For catering, I've never seen the righteous forsaken or his seed begging for bread. For providing security in the time of trouble, he shall hide me. His rod and his staff, he shall comfort me. For all the extras, let me stop right there. Can I give it to you again? For all the extras, y'all still ain't shouting because the extras never get credit. For all the extras, exceedingly, abundantly, beyond what I can think, what I can dream, and what I can imagine. I need you to grab your neighbor and say, neighbor, I thank him for health, for life, for strength. I thank you for a roof over my head, clothes on my back, and food on the table. But when I shout on this Easter Sunday, I'm not shouting for none of that. What you shouting for? I'm shouting for the extras, for the stuff he didn't have to do, but he looked beyond all of my faults and he met me at my knees. If he's done anything for you, will you give God glory like can't nobody? Do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Would you give two people a high five and say thank him for the extras? He didn't have to do it, but he did. Thank him, because I said I wasn't gonna tell nobody, but I just can't. I need you to grab that neighbor by the hand. I need you to lift that neighbor's hand and tell them congratulations. You won the part. They counted you out. They underestimated you. But what they didn't know is I was faking it. They thought it was the end of me, but it's just the beginning. Don't wait till the battle is over, but shout. Shout like he's able. Shout like he'll do it. Shout like he never. I can't hear nobody. Give three people a high five and tell them it ain't finished. It ain't finished. It ain't finished. Lift up that hand, please. Don't leave your movie too quick. I know you don't like the picture, but it's getting ready to change. Whoever gonna leave you, let them leave now. Whoever don't want you, don't you beg nobody to stay. It is your privilege to be with somebody as gifted as me. Lift up that hand. I want to pray for you, please, sir. That hand is lifted. I'm talking primarily to people who are in this room who feel like your life is a bad movie. It's a bad movie. I hate seeing myself struggle. Hate always being behind. Hate always, every time I feel like I'm making progress, something pushes me back. I hate what the doctor said about my condition. The only reason you're at this 11:30 service, I didn't tell it to 7:30, not for 9:30. It wasn't for them, it was for you. God told me to tell you, don't you leave yet. There's something else I got to show you. Hallelujah. You just missed it. He said, there's something else I got to show you. And you ain't going to see it if you leave early, because I hid it in the credits. It's not until you start thanking me that I'm going to give you a sneak preview of what I have for you. God, I can't hear anybody. Those of you that want a glimpse of your future and you believe with every ounce of your being, your future is going to be better than your past. Do me a favor, please. It ain't for me. It ain't for the choir. It ain't for your neighbor. Would you give God credit for bringing you this far? Is that all you got? You won't give him more credit than that? God, you've been good to me. I give you credit. You loved me when I didn't know how to love myself. And for that, God, I give you glory. I need every person standing. I don't know what bad movie you're in. It's Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Blair Witch Project. God said tonight you're coming out of it. You're coming out of it. The scene is getting ready to change. The soundtrack is getting ready to change. And for some of you, the cast is getting ready to change. I'm getting ready to move some people around you who have no business being close to you. There's getting ready to be a plot twist to your narrative. Wherever you are in this room, please, no auditions are necessary. You already got the role. God just says, I need you to walk in it. I was at the funeral a couple years ago for Whitney Houston. While at the funeral, I'll never forget remarks by Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner at the funeral said to all of us who were in that church in New Jersey, says, Whitney Houston came to audition for the bodyguard and got nauseous, threw up in the bathroom, nervous, hand sweat, had to reapply her makeup twice. Never done a movie before. He said he let her go through all of that nervous, anxiety, stress. Kevin Costner told all of us at the funeral where she didn't know that she already had the part. It didn't matter what she did at the audition. I knew nobody else could fit the role. God, I can't hear nobody. 100 of y'all ought to be excited. I know you've been antsy. I know you've been waiting on a call back. I know you've been nervous about what's going to happen next. God said you already got it. Nobody else can fit the part. I've held it reserved just for you, waiting for you to come into your own. You get ready to walk into something you've never done before. You get ready to do something you've never been trained in, got no experience in. But the grace of God is so heavy on your life that you are irreplaceable. Those of you that know I'm talking about you, would you give God glory for it? I don't know where you are in this room. I feel your spirit in this room. I don't know where you are, but you belong on this stage. God's built a platform just for you. And you don't even understand, he's not going to pull the curtain back until you start giving him credit. As long as you keep acting like it's all about you, he can't bless you. But when you start living for him, when you start serving him, when you start being committed to him, he says, I show you a mystery. We won't all sleep, but that trumpet is going to sound.